Good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. So I was just watching, or I didn't, actually I did watch the whole thing. I didn't mean to, but I happened to see there was a channel as that came up on YouTube where a guy, a Navy guy, named Jake, he's a former SEAL, and the title of his was something about Special Forces going down to Mexico. So I watched it, and I haven't looked into it myself, but I do want to mention a couple things about this. And I know they've been talking about this quite a bit. Um, and by that, but what he means is, and I found what I found interesting was I saw his picture, and and it showed him who I remember as being a SEAL, and then it showed the emblem of the Special Forces. You know, the Oppressor Libre on there. And I said, well, that's kind of mixed up. Why is that? So that's what made me watch it. So I did watch it. He talked about them apparently sending U.S. Special Forces down to Mexico. And what that means is Army Special Forces. Uh, Here, way back, Special Forces simply meant Army Special Forces. I want to make it clear right now. I was not. I was not. I wasn't in the military. I just happen to know a lot about this. Uh, but Special Forces meant Army. And in the past, since it kind of went over to Special Operations Forces, a lot of people misuse that term Special Forces to mean, SEALs and MARSOC and things like that. Or back in my day, it was Marine Recon. Uh, but this means Army Special Forces. And seventh group, which is the group of U.S. Army Special Forces that's responsible for Latin America and such. Apparently, they're going down to Mexico. Now, is this a good idea? Oh, no, I don't think so. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for the guys. They're going to like it. I had a lot of friends of mine who are in seventh group, uh, and they're going to have a good time, and they're going to do a good job. Um, should we have our people down there? I don't think so. I had a lot of friends who did time in El Salvador and Honduras and Guatemala and Colombia and all of that. And I'll tell you again, they trained a lot of people. They had a lot. They had I won't say fun. Some did, some didn't. They had experiences. They had a lot of stories to tell. But you know, the result was how well should I say mixed. Mixed. When you're dealing with stuff down there, it is a mess, and by that I mean south of the border. Anywhere south of the Mexican American border is a mess, and it's much different than anybody up here can understand. And Mike Morton, when you see this, he's one of our highly valued and a friend of mine who currently lives on the Patreon channel, who currently lives in Colombia. He's former U.S. military and retired law enforcement in the United States, and now he lives in Colombia with his lovely wife and family, and contracts around the world training military and police in some of those countries. So, Mike, I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about this. Uh, the, I noticed a couple of comments on Jake's channel, and it said, "Well, the last time they did this, it ended up uh, uh, creating the Zetas." Do you know who the Zetas are? Los Zetas, and it's named after because their call sign, or their leader's call sign was Z1. Z is Zeta in Spanish. You want to know how it goes? A B C D E F G H Aquí Hotaka LAMNO PQ RRST U B W X Y Zeta. I stumbled there for a minute. It's been a long time since I said that. Zeta is the Z, and that's what it's named after. That the Zetas were a branch of Mexican army. Now, some people said over there they were now apparently they're going down to train the Marines. Okay, the Mexican Marines. Now there's a difference there. The Zetas came out of the Mexican army, and they are corrupt, just like the federales are corrupt, just like pretty much every layer in government in Mexico is corrupt. Doesn't mean there aren't some good people in there. I'm sure there are. I don't know any of them personally, but most of them. I mean, there's corruption from head to toe down there. It's just the way it's done. It's the way it's always been done. Whether it ever stops being done that way, who knows? But they were trained. The Mexican special forces were trained by our special forces and some Israeli units. A lot of people didn't know that, right? Oh, the messes we get in around the world, right? How do you know all this, Steve? I can't tell you. But and so when they broke off, the leader, what was his name? Arturo something or other. I forget the Arturo Guzman, something or other. Guzman wasn't his. It doesn't matter. He was the leader of the Zetas, and they split off. They left the Mexican army with all the training that our special forces had provided them, and then they went on to be. Hi, sweetie, how are you? My daughter just came. Then they went on to first off being kind of the enforcement arm of, was it Sinaloa, I believe, and then they split off onto their own. These very capable people, very brutal people, very violent people. They are the kind that love what they do. When they cut off heads and hang bodies from bridges and things like that, they're all into it, But the Mexican Marines, now I can't guarantee this from my own experience because I don't know them, but from what I understand, and my sources are good, the Mexican Marines are a little bit different. That they are about the only group down there, and I don't know exactly why. Mike, let us know over on Patreon what you think about this. They're about the only group, from what I hear, that people say is not corrupt. They don't have the corruption to the depth of other units. Okay, let's get beyond that and talk about this. Is it good that we have our special forces down in Mexico? I mean, I'm assuming that we do. That's what this Jake said, and I haven't looked it up. But whether we do or not, should we? And my answer is no. The way to go after this is, we've trained people all over the world. Right up here northwest of me is Fort Leavenworth. What do they call it? The General Staff War College. I forget what it's called. I haven't been up there in years. Where that we bring people over from all over the world. They're officers for the most part, and we train them in military stuff. And then sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. We don't always get the bang for the buck that we want to with all of our training and our money. So should we have people down there? Not in my opinion. Although I know the guys in 7th group are just, they can't wait to go. I mean, I judge this on all the ones that I've known, and they have some of the the experiences that they're going to have. This is what they want. This is what they do. I had a good buddy of mine. We drove back from Chicago one time together, and he was with 7th group, and for 8 hours he did nothing but talk, and I did nothing but laugh, and it was a scream. So I mean, just the weirdest stuff can happen in these situations. He'd been down south. And the weirdest, and I thought, man, how come none of my stories are this funny? I was a cop. All my stories are kind of, bleh, I mean, they're not the stories that you want to tell. They're just lousy, horrible. Okay, not that those guys don't have those stories, but they seem to have a lot of funny ones too. So anyway, no, we shouldn't be down there. How we need to approach this is put pressure on the Mexican government to take care of their own stinking problems. And they can do it. They don't need our people down there to teach them how to fight in the jungle. Half of them grew up in the jungle. Okay. or in the cities. They don't need us to teach them urban warfare. They grew up fighting in the cities. Now, I understand they might need our help. It's not that our guys aren't more advanced, but our guys can teach them certain, a lot of tactics and technologies and things like that. But they don't really need us down there. What they need is to have a reason to shut this shit down. I don't usually use that kind of language on here, but that's why it is. They need to shut this stuff down, and they don't have a reason. And if we put the right political pressure on Scheinbaum or whatever her name is down there, they would cure it. If we strangled Mexico, but we have to make sure, because anytime you strangle a country economically, you leave the door open for somebody else like China or Russia to come in and be their new best buddy, and you can't do that. We don't want that on our southern border. We have enough. Okay. So what you have to have a big carrot and a big stick, and say, hey, look, here is how we're going to help. And I don't mean putting in more maquiadoras down there. Here's how you're going to get a spanking, and it's going to be a bad one unless you put a lock on this. But if you operate in the best interest of our country, which is also the best interest of your country, it's not in the best interest of any country to be corrupt to the core. I mean, that's why all those people want to come up here, right? They don't want to live in that crap. So they're going to have it's a beautiful country. Mexico is a beautiful country. They have beautiful beaches. They have great avocados. They have beautiful people. I have rarely met a Mexican I didn't like. I'll be real honest. They did hard workers, great people, all that. But we got to have the leverage and say, look, you got to clean this stuff up economically. Because once we have our special forces down there, you know where they're coming out? Never. They're never coming out. Never. And weird things can happen. And we don't really need Mexico to be a part of the United States. I'm not sure that I want it to be, although I'm going to start making videos over on the American Reversion channel again, and I'm going to be talking about, hey, don't piss off Americans. Did you see what happened to the Canadian hockey players, right? When all the Canadians booed the national anthem. Guys, don't piss off America. I know that we've been led by a weenie for a long time, but, like they say, better a lion lead an army of sheep than a sheep an army of lions. Well, we've had a sheep at the head of this, and that's made most people misunderstand and think that we're a weak country. We're not. You get Americans going, and there's no stopping. They're really not. There's probably no more warlike people than Americans once you get us pissed off. So, but we're slow to piss off. I'll be honest. Most of us. But anyway, they're not. It's going to be a mess. So, no, I don't think we should have them down there. I think we need to tell Mexico. You have great beaches along the Gulf of America there, right? Right. You got a lot of money coming in from, El Norte. We're going to shut down all your remittances from, these long lines in Walmart that, everybody's sending their money back to Mexico. We're going to stop it. We're going to stop it. And we're not going to allow, we're going to defend that doctrine that says, hey, everybody stay out of the Western Hemisphere. This is our playground here. And no, we're not letting anybody else come in to help. And we're your help if you want to help. But, we'll either be, like they say, your best friend or your worst enemy. But it has to be economic. And that's the way to handle this. So, I'm sorry to see us sending our guys down there to Mexico. It really didn't need to be done, in my opinion. And here again, I know the guys are raring to go. All right, man, something to do, and they're gonna have a good time. So for them, I mean, I understand that. Guys, have a good time. But as a country, I think we're getting mixed up in something that we don't need to get mixed up to this extent. We need to control it from the outside. We don't need to get mixed up in it from the inside. Just my opinion. One man's opinion. I'm going to make another one. So this brought something that up to head also of one video I've been thinking about making, and it is why a lot, because we're speaking about special forces. That made me think about some friends of mine, and I said, I'm going to make one about why you should emulate the Green Berets. That's special forces. That's Army special forces. Why you should emulate the Green Berets. Not the SEALs, not recon. I know it's MARSOC now, or whatever. Okay, Raiders, MARSOC. Not the others. The Green Berets. You, as a prepper, as a preparedness-minded person, there is something special about them, special, right, that you should emulate. And I'm going to talk about that in a separate video. You all have a good day. If you want to read my books, the links are down below. You should. You'll learn a lot and love the story. The Stonemont series. You can get them through Amazon. That link's down. Or you can get them directly from me, and I get to sign them for you and write a little note in there for you. And you will learn more than you can imagine. Plus, you'll love the story. And you can get them from me through our website, stonemont.us. So you all have a good day. We'll see what happens with this, but I don't see anything good coming out of this. At least nothing that we couldn't have gotten a better way. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll talk to you later.